You know, the first thing I need you to understand when he finally reaches out after going silent is this. Don't jump when you ain't been called. Let me say that again, slower this time. Don't jump when you ain't been called. See, some of y'all get that text or that "Hey, stranger" DM and your heart skips a beat like it's Valentine's Day. All that time he was quiet, you were hurting, doubting yourself, questioning your worth. And now, just because he typed up a few words and hit send, you're ready to throw yourself back into the same fire that burned you. No, that's not how we're doing it anymore. That's not the woman you're growing into. You need to understand something powerful. Your response sets the tone. It tells the world how you expect to be treated. Every time you answer too quickly, too eagerly, too emotionally, you're giving away a piece of your power. And when someone disappears on you, ignores your calls, overlooks your effort, and then reappears like nothing happened, baby, that's not a man reaching out with love. That's a man checking to see if the door's still open. And your job right now is to check who has the keys. Now I get it. You're human, you miss him. You replay the good moments, the laughs, the comfort, maybe even the chemistry. But don't let your emotions make the decision. Let your standards speak for you, because the same way he walked away without warning is the same way he could do it again. And if you don't press pause, if you don't take a beat before you respond, you're not giving yourself time to even figure out what you want anymore. Let me break it down like this. When someone goes silent on you, they've made a statement. That silence wasn't an accident, it was a choice. And when he suddenly reaches out, you need to ask yourself, what changed? Is he reaching out because he grew, or because he got bored, because he realized your value, or because his options ran dry? Are you the priority now, or just the convenient one? And let's talk about that loneliness, because sometimes that's the real trap. You think it's him you miss, but it's not. You miss the feeling of being seen, heard, cared for. And when you're craving connection, even crumbs start to look like a feast. But don't let the hunger make you forget you were learning how to cook for yourself. You were healing, you were growing, you were rebuilding that confidence brick by brick. Don't let one buzz on your phone knock down the whole house. You know what strength really is. It's not about ignoring the message. It's about not letting the message control you. Strength is reading that "hey" and not instantly replying with a heart emoji and an open schedule. Strength is sitting with your emotions, feeling them, then responding, or not responding, with intention. Because truth be told, he didn't check in on you during the hard days. He wasn't there when you cried, when you questioned yourself, when you sat staring at your phone wondering if you mattered. So now that he's decided he's ready, ask yourself, are you still available? Your healing deserves more respect than a quick reunion. And your time, your energy, those are valuable. Stop giving discounts to people who never paid full price for you in the first place. So when he finally reaches out, don't go jumping. Sit still, breathe, let him wonder, let him wait. Because if he truly wants a seat at your table, he won't mind proving he belongs there. But if all he wanted was to check if the light's still on, let him drive by in the dark. Don't jump when you ain't been called. You know, people always think silence is nothing. They think if he's not calling, not texting, not showing up, then nothing's happening. But that's the biggest lie we tell ourselves. Silence is loud. Silence says everything you were afraid to hear. And when he disappears, when he stops reaching out and just fades away like you were never there, that silence, that's not empty, that's a message. The question is, are you listening? See, we've been trained to chase noise, to look for reassurance in what people say. We think, well, he didn't say we're done, so maybe it's just a phase. Or maybe he's just going through something, maybe he needs space. And you start filling in the blanks with hope, with excuses, with fantasy. But let me give it to you straight. If he can stay silent long enough to make you question your worth, he's already said a lot. Silence can be disrespect, silence can be indifference, and silence can be closure. You just have to accept it. When he stopped showing up, stopped calling, stopped checking in, he was giving you truth in the quiet. And instead of filling that space with doubt and pain, you need to start hearing what that silence is telling you. It's saying, I'm not prioritizing you right now. It's saying, you're not at the center of my world. It might even be saying, I don't have the courage to tell you the truth. But you know what else silence is? A spotlight. It shines a big bright light on what you need to heal. That silence gives you space to see what parts of yourself you've been trying to fill with his attention. Because if his silence is breaking you, it means you've been depending on him to hold parts of you together. And that's not love, that's survival. And baby, you were made for more than just surviving. I know it hurts. I know it feels like rejection. And when you're sitting alone, staring at your phone, checking it every 5 minutes, hoping it lights up with his name, that silence feels personal. But I'm here to tell you something that might set you free. It's not always about you. Sometimes people go silent because they're confused, immature, selfish, or just emotionally unavailable. That silence reflects where they're at, not where you fall short. So what do you do with that silence? You grow. You don't chase after someone who let go. You don't beg for a conversation with someone who already left the room. You learn to love your own company so much that no one's absence ever shakes your peace again. You sit in that silence and you turn the volume up on your own voice. Let me tell you something about real healing. It doesn't come when someone comes back. It comes when you stop needing them to. The second you stop waiting for him to explain himself, to validate your pain, to apologize, to finally see your worth, that's the second you start rising. Now here's the twist. Sometimes that silence doesn't last forever. He may come back. He may text you. He may suddenly pop up like nothing ever happened. But by the time that happens, if you've been doing the work, if you've been listening to the silence the way you were supposed to, you won't be the same woman anymore. You won't be sitting there, broken and waiting. You'll be standing tall, strong, clear-minded, and full of self-respect, and his words won't carry the same weight they used to. You see, silence teaches you how to stop depending on someone else's noise to feel alive. It teaches you to trust your instincts, to find clarity in the quiet. So stop chasing closure. Stop begging for explanation. Let the silence talk, and you learn to listen like a grown woman with standards. Because once you understand what silence really means, once you learn to hear what wasn't said, you stop waiting for weak words and start demanding strong actions. Silence is loud. You just gotta learn how to hear it. Let me tell you something right now that might change the way you carry yourself. You hold the power now. Act like it. See, when he went silent, when he stopped showing up, when he left you on read, whether it was for days, weeks, or months, that's when something powerful shifted. It might not have felt like it at the time because you were hurting, confused, and maybe even blaming yourself. But what really happened in that silence is the balance of power changed, and when he finally reaches out again, hoping to pick up where he left off, the question ain't, should I be flattered? It's, does this serve who I've become since he left? Now let's be real. When someone ghosts you or goes distant, there's a part of you that shrinks. You start second, guessing. You wonder what you did wrong, if you said too much, if you cared too soon. But that pain, that time alone, that was your training ground. That was your space to level up, to come face with the version of you that don't need to chase love. It attracts it. That time wasn't punishment. It was preparation. And now that he's back, talking about, hey stranger, like everything's cool, no, this is where you move differently, because here's what happens too often. He returns and you slip right back into old patterns. You forget how hard you cried. You forget how long you waited. You forget how much it took to get your peace back. And suddenly you hand him the keys again to a house he already burned down. That can't happen anymore. You have to recognize your power and protect it. You're not the same woman he left behind. You've been through some things. You learned to wipe your own tears, to find your own joy, to build your own table when nobody invited you to theirs. That's growth, that's power, and when you truly understand that, you stop negotiating your value just because someone came back around. See, the real test isn't whether he reaches out again, it's whether you respond like a woman who knows her worth. Anybody can send a message, anybody can feel a little lonely and think, let me hit her up. But not everybody is worthy of another chance. You have to ask yourself, does his return come with changed behavior or just familiar charm? Because words are cheap, but consistency costs something. And if he ain't willing to invest, then you shouldn't be entertaining him just because he showed up. This is where standards come in, not walls, standards. You don't have to be bitter, but you do have to be clear. You can be kind, but you still have to be firm. He doesn't get to walk back in and reset the rules just because you used to care. Your heart is valuable. Your time is expensive, and access to you, that's a privilege, not a right. Let me give it to you straight. When you carry yourself like a woman who knows she's the table, you don't have to convince anybody to stay seated. When you show up with confidence, peace, and purpose, you attract people who are ready, not just curious. And when someone from your past reaches out, they should feel the difference. They should know they're not texting the same girl they left on read. They're reaching out to a woman who's been through the fire and came out with boundaries, not bruises. So ask yourself, if he disappeared before, why is he here now? And more importantly, what does his return really mean for your growth? Does responding align with the woman you're becoming? Or does it pull you back into patterns that you fought hard to escape? Don't let flattery fool you. Just because he remembered you doesn't mean he deserves you. Don't let the nostalgia make you forget the nights you had to talk yourself out of texting him. You've come too far. He might have come back, but you don't live at that emotional address anymore. You hold the power now. Not because you're playing games, not because you're trying to get even, but because you finally know who you are, and you're not afraid to walk alone if it means staying true to yourself. And trust me, once you've tasted peace, you won't trade it for potential. So if he wants another shot, let him earn it. Let him rise to your level, not pull you back down to where he left you. You hold the power now. Act like it. Now let's talk about something we all wrestle with, but don't always want to admit, those negative feelings. The anger, the sadness, the doubt, the shame, the questions that play on a loop in your mind. Why did he leave? Was I not enough? What did I do wrong? Those emotions can eat you alive if you let them. They creep in late at night. They show up in the middle of the day while you're smiling in front of everybody else, and they whisper lies when you're just trying to move on. But here's what I need you to understand. Those feelings don't define you. They are visitors, not permanent residents. They don't mean you're weak, and they definitely don't mean you're unworthy. What they mean is that you're human. What they mean is that you loved, that you cared, that you gave something real to somebody who didn't know what to do with it. Now that he's reached out after all that silence, those feelings might come rushing back. You'll want to act like you're unbothered. You'll want to post a cute selfie, fire off a slick text, maybe even show him what he's missing. But pause, because all of that, that's ego. That's hurt trying to dress up as confidence. And healing ain't about pretending you don't feel anything. It's about owning what you feel and choosing not to be controlled by it. Let me break this down for you. Overcoming those negative feelings is not about flipping a switch. It's about walking through them with your head held high, knowing you don't have to fight your emotions. You have to face them. You don't need to numb them, avoid them, or cover them up with someone new. You need to sit with them, let them teach you something. That sadness, it tells you how deeply you care. That anger, it shows you where your boundaries were crossed. That doubt, it points to where you need to start believing in yourself again. And most importantly, stop personalizing someone else's inability to love you right. His silence was not a reflection of your value. It was a reflection of his capacity. There are people walking around who don't know how to hold what's precious. That don't make you any less valuable. That just means he didn't have the hands for your kind of weight. You were heavy in all the right ways, full of love, depth, honesty, loyalty. And if he couldn't carry that, baby, that's on him. So here's what you do now. You breathe. You forgive yourself. You forgive yourself for overgiving, for believing the best, for staying too long, for not seeing the signs. That's how you clean the wound. You can't heal what you're still punishing yourself for. And when he comes back acting like nothing happened, don't respond from the wound. Respond from the scar. That's how you know you've grown. When your reply or your silence is rooted in peace instead of pain. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not reply at all. Sometimes healing looks like no response. Sometimes overcoming looks like choosing you quietly, confidently, without needing to prove a point. That doesn't mean you're cold. That means you're clear. You're clear on what you need, what you deserve, and what you won't accept anymore. That's the kind of clarity that makes people realize they can't just come and go from your life like you're some convenience store. No, this is a full course meal, and you don't just walk in without a reservation. So if you're feeling hurt, confused, still healing from the silence, don't run from that. Let those feelings come and then let them go. Don't sit in bitterness. Don't build a home in resentment. And don't give someone else's poor decisions a permanent place in your mind. Your peace is too expensive to rent out to pain. Here's what you gotta remember. You're allowed to feel everything and still choose peace. You can be disappointed and still rise above. You can be heartbroken and still hold your head high. Strength is not about what you show the world, it's about what you whisper to yourself in the dark. And if you've made it this far, you're stronger than you think. You don't need revenge. You don't need a comeback. You don't need him to regret losing you. What you need is to walk forward with your dignity, your healing, and your standards fully intact. Let the pain shape you, not shrink you.